Hey there, you internets. So, let's talk about this leak from the Supreme Court. So, the other night I kind of did my quick take. Since then, it has been confirmed as legit. People have been putting up all sorts of stuff. Honestly, the purpose of this video is not to debate the rightness or wrongness of abortion. People are pretty much in their camps with a few people in the middle. I'm pro-life. Other people aren't. More dangerous than any of that, whether you think it should be legal or not, is that this is more dangerous than January 6th. It's worse for the country than January 6th. January 6th, some people can't even call it an insurrection, they call it a riot. There's people that were let in through the doors. There's people that certainly had bad ideas. There's a possibility of that. There's possibly somebody saying, hey, there's somebody from the FBI trying to encourage people, because the FBI won't even confirm whether they're actually employed by the FBI or not. And I'm not going to get into any of that with January 6th. The point is that was one thing. This is worse. I do want to, as I start this, kind of thank again. I'm not going to name the person, other than the initials for the pseudonym they used was SB. I don't want the person harassed. But they were the first person commenting that I didn't recognize as anybody I knew. And I appreciate the fact that they took the time to comment, even if they don't totally agree with me. At least they're willing to make the conversation. And even that person didn't have a hard, abortion should be legal when the Mormon's giving birth stance. So there's a lot of stuff in the middle to this. But it's more dangerous than that to the whole of the country. Honestly, as pro-life as I am, and some people I know that are pro-life will disagree with this statement, but more important than whether the law is overturned or upheld, the leak is the worst possible part. Because the Supreme Court's supposed to be able to, in the arguing process, say, what do you guys think of this opinion to the majority? And it's entirely possible everyone looked at that majority and went, Justice Alito, no, we're not going to be able to overturn Roe, but we should strike down or uphold that law. Because even Roe v. Wade did not say no regulations were possible, neither did Casey. We don't know. But the problem is whether the leak was from the right, someone trying to pressure others on the right, or on the left, trying to pressure them. And when I get to the final version of this channel, I will have my copy of the Federalist Papers stacked up above, where I can pull it down and get into some of this. But the founders wanted the Supreme Court to be able to say, whether the majority of people agree with this or not, this law is unconstitutional, because we are a constitutional republic. Now, whether you were a constitutional republic or a democracy, that's the Supreme Court's role. They are not there to be worrying about whether, most people like that old ruling, even if it's legally wrong, we better keep it. Okay? That's not their role. Their role is to say this is right or this is wrong. And I don't really want to hear about anybody saying, those justices lied to get on the court. Yeah, well, you guys just put a person on the court who couldn't even answer what the word woman meant. And that woman, I will say she was a woman because she is a biological human female, was either lying or incompetent. I already said that. So let's just be honest about that. Everybody knew that originalist judges were not going to uphold Roe. It was highly unlikely. And at the same time, everyone knew the others. And I don't want to hear about judicial activism, because Roe itself arguably is judicial activism. But when you create a situation like this by leaking this internal document, what was essentially an internal document about how the court is thinking about this, you don't give anyone a chance to say, yeah, no, we ain't doing that. Because now you have justices possibly being feeling like they have to join this opinion because it's already out there, or have to oppose the opinion because everybody's getting upset about it beforehand. And Justice Alito is right that the court cannot allow current... you're talking about my shoulders. Get up. There's arms on this chair I'm using. You can't allow the court to be swayed in that. Otherwise, an injustice can occur. Because how many times has mob mentality or the will of a mob created an injustice in our past? Whether you agree with that or not. So this leak, this person is not a hero. This person is not justified in what they did. It doesn't matter whether they're on the right or the left, whether they're for legalized abortion, against legalized abortion. They are not a hero. And as much as I hate cancel culture, they need to be canceled effectively. They are not competent to be on the court. They are not competent to be a clerk. They're maybe a little bit competent to say, you want fries with that? Okay? And I don't even trust them to put the fries in the fryer correctly. I think I'd say no if I ran into them. Because what they have done is no matter what decision is reached, if the court says, we hold that Roe should be overturned, everyone's going to assume 4 justices pressured one more publicly. Or if Roe is upheld, you're going to have all these people on the right saying they were pressured by that leak into upholding something they knew was wrong. It doesn't matter who it was for. And this makes it possibly, Dred Scott decision, which I read up on right before this, it was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at the time was trying to create some political compromise through judicial means. Effectively using the court of public opinion, someone's doing the same thing this time. So honestly, if Dred Scott's the worst decision ever and could never be supplanted as the worst decision, this is absolutely going to be the second decision no matter what happens, because it will always be tainted by this leak. It will never be considered to be an honest opinion. It's almost to the point where, as much as I hate to see it continued, the justices getting together and saying, we're going to have one person abstain, everyone else vote 4-4 on oppose and not, so you get essentially a non-answer. The best thing you can do, because the court can never be truly independent if it's got people going that way, doing that sort of thing. If a clerk did this, or if even a janitor did this, they need to be out of there. That if it was a clerk, their legal career needs to be over permanently and now. If it was a justice that did that, I don't care whether it was Thomas, who's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite justice, or whether it was Sonia Sotomayor. I'm just picking her name kind of out of a hat. I don't want to draw falsely attention to the clerk that a lot of people are looking at. Unfortunately, that hers was the first name that came to mind. If it was a justice, if they can't resign, they need to be impeached. I don't care which side they were on. The system is too important to have if we're going to continue to be a functioning constitutional republic with democratic institutions. It cannot be allowed to continue doing that. So if a justice was behind this, they need to be off the court. And yes, I am very well aware that it might be Biden replacing one of the better justices. I am also very well aware that we might end up with Biden replacing a liberal justice. I'm saying that now before we can get into splitting hairs. You have to stand on principle sometimes, and the very principle that we're supposed to have, an independent judiciary, is too important. It's more important than either outcome for this decision, is dealing with this leak, because it is not whether, the conservative justices are ruling a way that destroys the legitimacy of the court, or that we have judicial activists destroying the legitimacy of the court. What destroys it is when it can be swayed by public opinion this way. So they absolutely must be off the court. And otherwise, moving forward, we kind of know how this is going to land, but some of the things have calmed down. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're thinking rioting and violence is a good idea over this decision, if it still comes out this way, you're wrong. You riot, you're going to erase any gain in public opinion that you would have otherwise. People do not react well to violent things like that. And heaven forbid, where there's a group talking about going to justices' homes to protest, which is exactly what kind of intimidation you're talking about that you cannot have against the court. Heaven forbid somebody kill one of them. Somebody has already put out some tweet that amounted to oh, won't someone rid me of this priest? I'm not saying to kill him, and then the priest ends up dead. And somebody says, oh, wink, nod, too bad that happened. That cannot be allowed to happen either. You cannot have these things. I will tell you that right now. As far as if this ruling stands, in 16 states, you're going to wake up the next day and go, no change. In some other states, in a lot of states, you might see no change. In a state like Oklahoma, like Texas, like Mississippi, abortion access will be much more limited. Right or wrong, personally, I think life begins at conception, and I'm sorry, but if you think a woman can be giving birth and decide to go ahead and abort, which is illegal in California and Virginia and New York, among other states, you are pro-abortion. You're not pro-choice. Don't try and call yourself pro-life. I know people that have said, oh, I'm pro-life, and then list off a bunch of reasons, some of which are nothing but abortion as birth control for about why they're pro-life. If you're pro-life, you're pro-life. If you think there should be exceptions, I can maybe understand saying pro-choice, but when you think there should be no restrictions whatsoever up to the moment of birth, and no consideration for what kinds of procedures are used, or that you think a 14-year-old should be able to go get an abortion without her parents even knowing about it, you're pro-abortion. Stop calling yourself something else. Just be honest about it, okay? So, I kind of got to leave it at that, but this is worse than any kind of January 6th. This is a direct threat to the system, much in the same way Richard Nixon was heading that way, with thinking that if the president did it, it wasn't illegal. Sorry, but even though the president can break laws, and there might not be a law that was broken, but there was certainly an ethical problem. If they can be removed, they need to be. I'll leave it at that. You guys all have a good rest of your day.